family, and freedom. And I tell you what, he gave us some juice last week on Friday. I'll bring it to the table. Without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend himself. Let's give him a warm welcome, because I know I got my pen handy, my plumos, and my cadero ready to take notes. Without further ado, let's get in Senior Vice President, the one and only from Southern California, the great Mr. Byron Nelson. It's good seeing you, sir.
It's great being seen, man. It is great being seen. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing?
You look great. You look rested. You look ready.
Born ready, born ready, born ready. Even when you're not ready, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
Amen.
So faith, family, and what was the third one? Freedom?
Yes, sir. I'm going to mute my phone. Faith, family, freedom.
Faith, family, and freedom. You know, the greatest thing that allows you to, and this is for me and for you this morning, is to learn how to dream. To learn how to dream. Those that are taking, to really get into being able to complete, because the main thing is understanding what it takes to be able to complete everything that you're doing. I'm actually in the middle of one of my chapters of completing what you start. Right? And the book is actually finished what you start, but completing it starts with being able to have a set destination, hence your destiny. And once you understand that, then you understand, truly, I'm going to go through 3 different dynamics. I'm working backwards. So you're looking at dream, for those who are taking copious notes, you're looking at dream. Then you move backwards, you look to vision. From vision, what you're doing is you're actually completing goals. From completing goals, you are achieving goals. From achieving goals, you're actually setting goals, which then work backwards to a plan. Before the plan, you're looking at preparation. So I'm going to say that again. You have the dream. Before the dream, you have the vision. Before the vision, you actually have 3 steps of goals, which is completing the goals, achieving the goals, setting the goals, which is 3 subsets. Then you have, before that, you have a plan. And before the plan, you're looking at preparation. Now, why is that all important? All that's important because what you're talking about is planning with the end in mind. That should be with everything that you're doing, is planning with the end in mind. You know, you've heard me say it a lot of times, when you're actually setting out to do something, let's say you're going from point A to point B in your city, then you're looking at a destination, right? You're looking at putting into the GPS the exact address of where you're going. Well, if you ever looked at how they actually programmed the GPS on any destination from point A to point B, it's where you are, but then you put in the end result of where you're going, and then they work backwards to see the route, which is going to be the most effective and efficient route. And so the reason why people never get to really the other side of money, or the other side of a position, title, goal, whatever it is you want, is because they don't understand these subsets that are put in place. So I'm not going to have the time this morning to go through all the different subsets, but I'm going to do my best to cover as much as possible. So when we talk about your vision, if I were to actually open it up, and I would love for you guys, I mean, I'm really going to work to be able to complete this in 20 minutes. So this can be interactive, because this is really an interactive, process. Right now, what you're doing is just digesting the information. Look at everything that you've ever accomplished in life, and it's going to be the things that you set out with a burning desire to complete. There is nothing that you have or don't have that you didn't. Everything that you've acquired, whether it's a PhD, a JD, whether it's a title, whether it's ETL, whether it's RD, RVP, SVP, whatever it is, whether it's being debt-free, you put all of your, let's say you wanted to become a CPA, you went to go get your, whatever it is that you set out to do. You went to become a doctor, or a practice, or an attorney, or any of these. You put all of your energy into completing. Right? Here's the distinction between those that succeed in entrepreneurship versus those that don't succeed. The system creates an infrastructure and a stair step for you to complete to become a doctor, from the internship and everything else involved. To become an attorney, you have to go through undergrad, you got to go to graduate school, you got to go to moot court, you got to do all these different dynamics. The reason why it's so difficult for an individual to become an accomplished entrepreneur is because they don't create the stair step for themselves. They're constantly, pretty much playing the following game. They're the sheeple. They're wandering around into the field until they get pissed off and place the destination for themselves. There's no destiny, there is no class, there is no school per se. There's teachers that have completed it, like a Mr. Al Thomas, who's one of the greatest professors in the world, who has opened up this school for you 5 days a week. But I want you to understand, this school is still done in the wild, wild west. What do I mean by that? That means that you can actually get lost in the school for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years and never graduate because you never set a destination. Nod your head if this is making sense to anybody. You should not be sitting at ETL for a year. That's not the program. That's not the class. That's the class you subscribe to, but that's not the subscription for success. You should not be at RD for a year. You may be there, but I mean, if you decide, the beautiful thing about this school of graduation, this school of success, is the most beautiful thing is that you can actually set your own parameters for graduation. It's also the worst thing for people that grew up within the system. Because you have been programmed so much by the system to follow another person's or another institute or another, if you will, confine of a system, your brain is still programmed within that system, waiting for someone else to graduate you. And because you're waiting for someone else to graduate you, you also are utilizing the same source as an excuse as to why you failed. My mama, my sister, my husband, my wife, I'm a single parent, my job, all of these things are just, my health is failing. I know people that have, finished college that are blind, deaf, and dumb. I know people, we could go to Helen Keller. We could go through so many different people that have accomplished so much with so little. In fact, the ones that accomplished the most have less than everybody on here. And have more of a reason to fail than the people that are on here. But you haven't set a definite date for you to graduate at these different bars. So if I give you that, if I just gave you the stair step, you can set your own time frame. Now, I want you to also understand, I'm not making a person wrong that's been in RD for a year or an ETL for a year. What I want you to do is just recognize that you can reset yourself right now and you can set your own school and parameters. And I also want you to be very clear about this as well. Write this down. I must run my own race. I must run my own race. See, when you're running your own race, then in turn, nobody cares. I have one of my closest friends that I went to undergrad, went to Morehouse with, who just literally 2 years ago, 2 decades, 3 decades later, just finished law school. I finished undergrad, he went, he built a family, he worked his business, he did everything and decided to go back to school. See, there is no tragedy in when you finish your race. The tragedy is in you not completing your race when you decide to complete it and getting stuck in a vortex or a portal of time, thinking that it's all right to be where you are. I can remember when I hit ETL, back then it was ETT, and they were giving out pins. Do they still give out pins? I don't know. Maybe. Okay. So I got a pin. I don't know. All I remember is, my graduate, my graduate degree. That's all I kind of remember. So, cum laude. Sam, we're waiting to put it on you, Sam. So I remember they gave us a pen. And I remember, I really, really remember this so distinctly. I got an ETT pen, and within the first 3 days, I lost it. I was so excited. I was jacked out of my mind to hit this position called ETT. And I lost it. And I sat back and I was depressed for about a millisecond. And I understood the psyche behind it. It wasn't clear yet, but I understood why I lost it. Then I went and I got the ETL pen. I finished ETT in like under 5 days. And then I finished ETL in under like 14, 21 days. And I got that pen. And I lost it. And then it started to become even more clear. And I was like, okay, I'm irresponsible. No, you aren't irresponsible. You just finished this class. Then I went, I got the, at the time, team coordinator RD pen, which is a joke today to graduate at RD today, because at the time I had to graduate RD, you had to have, you know what's crazy is to be in RD today, I still finished in under, I think it was 120 days. To be in RD when I hit RD in under 120 days is equivalent to RVP today. It's exactly equivalent to RVP today. And I still finished in 120 days, 130, 40 days. And I got my RD pin, or my TC pin, whatever you want to call it. And I lost it. Clarity was so in front of me. It was at that point I understood all of these diplomas weren't for me. I was supposed to graduate to the next class, because if I was supposed to graduate to the next class, until I finish the what I set out to do, I've never lost this. Never lost this. My graduate piece, I've never lost. I've lost every other pen they ever gave me. Every pen up until SVP. And it's because I would never get comfortable. In fact, I can remember they asked me to do a testimonial at RD. I've been in RD for about 6 months. Well, I was always doing testimonials at that point, because what happens is, if you talk to a doctor that's actually in their second year of med school, or that's finishing up their intern, you can actually ask a person who's becoming a doctor in pre-med, and meet them at a pub, or meet them at a get-together, a gathering. You can ask them, so, hey, what do you do? And they're going to tell you, I'm a doctor. They're going to tell you, I'm trying to be a doctor, or I'm hoping to be a doctor, or one day I'm going to be a doctor, or, you know, I'm going to be practicing somewhere in, it's 2022. I'm going to be practicing, I hope, in 23, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They're going to tell you that I finished my junior year at RD, and 3 years later, I'm still in my junior year in pre-med. They're going to say I'm stuck in my sophomore year at ETL for 5 years. And that's the way I was in hitting RD. I felt ashamed. This is just me, to still be in my junior year past the time that I was supposed to be in RD. And so when they asked me to talk, I felt like a fraud, because I was like, I just need to put my head down and finish my degree. Now, this isn't to make anybody wrong. This is to reset your brain. This is called hijacking your brain, so that you can have a reset today for some information you may not have had, so that you can set the parameters for your school, your graduation, and step into it with an extraordinary amount of ignition and excitement, and be comfortable with where you are. Because just being in the school, let me also bring adoration to you being here on this call, and you still being in the game. You already won. You've already beat 99% of people in this school. because the dropout rate is ridiculous. I mean, it's just right, Sam. I mean, the dropout rate is like you sit down in class and you're excited about meeting somebody to your left. You done met your love affair on the left and your new best friend on the right, and tomorrow neither one of them are in class. You're like, what happened? Where'd my class go? So don't get taken aback by me being hard on you about where you are. What it is to bring light to you so that you can now reset yourself and finish school. If your heart of hearts and you really want to complete this, here's the juggernaut. Here is the stair step. You're already prepped by being in these calls. Preparation's out of the way, so know that you're good with that. Whatever call you miss, Jabri can give you any of the courses, and you can go back and study. I mean, it's a why people say that Mr. Al Thomas is a self-made millionaire, and why people have said that Byron Nelson is a self-made, and I know this is, I'm just saying, it's what other people say. It's not what we're saying. Are you guys with me on that so far? Okay, so why people say that we are self-made in these levels of game is because you yourself have to complete it. Not that we did it by ourselves. Not one person that is successful did it by themselves. That's why my stomach kind of turns when people are like, he did this and he self this and he's wanted something, da, 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 da. No, I want them to actually acknowledge all of the bodies and casualties and some living amongst the living that contributed. I went through hundreds of thousands of bodies and retained a handful of them. So did Mr. Al Thomas, so did Mrs. Jocelyn Driscoll, so did so many people, so did Renata and Boris, anybody, I mean, you name it, Pat, Aaron, all of us. Our job is not to commit to giving people success. You might want to write this down for the higher end leaders. Our job is not to commit somebody that they're going to be successful here. Our job is to create an environment conducive for a person to succeed if they choose powerfully to succeed. I'm going to say that again. Our job is to create an environment that is conducive for them to succeed if they choose powerfully to succeed. If they don't choose to succeed, that's not our fault. Because so long as the institution is standing, so long as checks are being cut, so long as people are walking into freedom, then we know that the school is, then there's no fault on mine. If somebody comes in, I did not lead them astray if Harvard and Oxford still stand. If ACN still stands and is still writing checks, which I believe last week we got a couple of them. Then ACN still stands. So as we look at this and we reverse it and we're looking at preparation is out of the way. Now, what is your plan? Because with your plan, it's not people achieve, it's not them setting goals, it's them achieving them. So why there's 3 levels to that is because you have the goal, right? You have set the goal. Then you have to work the plan within that allows you to achieve the goal. Then you have to make sure that you have a finish date. Now I can promise you, when the Sistine Chapel was being painted, upside down, fumes, eyes burning, on a ceiling, in a medium that was not of his own because he was a sculptor and a painter. He wasn't a painter and a sculptor. And he was sanctioned to do this work that became a masterpiece and its greatest of all time. He didn't have, he actually failed. He failed on at least 5 different accounts of completing it when the contract was supposed to be complete. Are you guys listening to me? Is that making sense? I failed a minimum of 5 different times on the time in which I was to complete SVP. Now I can give you the drama behind it. I've completed it more than once before they gave me my trophy. Before I got my diploma, I'd actually finished 2 years before, 3 years before, 4 years before, but I was missing a credit. Whoever's fault that was, however it worked out, I could play the blame game. I could have put in all the work to finish my graduate work, and I could have been like the 99% and quit. But I had a contract with myself. And that's something for those taking really good notes. You need to have a contract with yourself. You need to really have almost like a check written to yourself with a date on it, a contract to yourself. So I completed this journey with a new plan and a new plan. I'm gonna be honest with you, the first plan is not gonna work. And the second and third plan may not work. You may be in the midst of building and redeveloping a new piece of property, and all of a sudden a hurricane comes through Florida. It may wipe out the entire house. But here's the beautiful thing. You still own the land. So you can either sell the land, you can move, or you can start all over again, knowing that you got oceanfront property and that hurricane only came once in the last 60 years. You got that, right, Sam? That's all I need is one person to get this conversation. Because there's going to be X factors, and you can write down X factors, which stands for the unexpected. X factors are going to exist, and that's why people fail, is because they don't plan for the X factor. They don't plan for the unexpected. Everybody thinks they need a perfect plan. You know, you have a child. Chris and Rose have a child. The child gets sick. You have to alter the plan. You got to alter the food. You got to alter the soap. You got to alter all the things that are in the house. You don't know what's going to work. You get into a relationship. You got to alter the plan. Well, it didn't work out, so all of a sudden you're going to go to a new sexuality because the first relationship didn't work. That just doesn't, I'm trying to understand. You know, you're supposed to be learning from each time you go through these mistakes. You should be aggressively embracing the mistakes that you go through. You should truly be able to surround yourself and be able to bring more wisdom. You should have a check sheet. Okay, that didn't work. When things don't work, I am so excited when things don't work for me. I am so excited. I mean, it's just so excited. It doesn't matter. Choosing the right people in your life. You got to get past. I digress. I'm mixing some nuts and raisins here. But you got to get to the point where you actually are not being chosen, looking for validation, but you do the choosing and get great at it. Denise Sanders, I chose her. Dave, I chose him. Al Thomas, I chose him. Bree, I chose him. Tammy, I chose her. I mean, I choose the people. Winston, I chose him. You know, I mean, it just keeps going. Everybody in my life, I choose. Stephanie, I chose her. I choose. I choose the people. Sam, I choose him. I choose the people I want in my life that I trust, that I can do business with, that I can pray with, that I can love on. I don't wait to be chosen. That hasn't worked out well for me. Now, when you decide, you have to choose your poison. I chose the poison of ACN because there's no greater institution on the planet to build your foundation. Now, I'm an author. I'm an orator. I'm a teacher. I'm an investor. I'm God's child. Does that make sense? You guys with me on that so far? I am leveraged. I live in my lane. And I went to school and give credit every day to ACN University. Now, I could be bitter, right? And say, well, I'm supposed to be in, Circle of Champions. I'm supposed to be on stage. I'm supposed to be training. If I was waiting for that, which is not something that I aspired for. I aspired for my graduation papers. I aspired for my check. If I was waiting to be chosen by Greg Provenzano, Mike Tony, and Robert, which I could if that was on my plate, if that was something I wanted, then I wouldn't be working with Sir Richard Branson. I would not be the successor to Les Brown. I would not be writing a new plan for Grant Cardone. I would not be doing stuff with Gary Vee in regards to invest. I would not be doing real estate at the level. I would not be the next coming over the next 2 years. I would not be the person on track for the bestseller ever done within the self-development world. I would not be on track for my Nobel Prize in less than 7 years. I would not be living into my light that I wouldn't be living on the stage that God built for me. That's not my, I don't want that stage. That's just me. But I will never de-edify the institute that built me for the stage I already sought before I came to school. My sister has a JD, top of her class at Duke Law, and I don't even think she registered her license in the last 3-4 years. But she's one of the most power players in the entertainment world and has handled Beyonce as well as, her contract for the last 27 years. She's one of only 2 people never fired in 27 years that has navigated her entire career and closed all of her contracts. And the list keeps going. She doesn't bash the fact that she doesn't use her JD, but she gives all credit to what gave her the foundation. Is anybody getting this? Are you guys following me on this so far? So you got to figure out, Mr. Al Thomas does not get on here and tell you about his real estate dealings or some of his other investment dealings I'm familiar with. They have nothing to do with real estate. Or what he's doing flying back and forth between Mexico and Panama and around. He's not, but the foundation and the freedom that this institute gives him and the contacts that it gives him and the relationships that it gives him opens up doors to bless people. And the law of reciprocity bless himself in ways that we don't leave and go back to high school and be like, let me tell you what I just did. But before you get there, you got to finish and go get your degree. So you got to figure out exactly in setting your goals, set the parameters of time frame. And you have to be realistic. If you're a single mother, where I would tell you it would take no more than a year to finish RVP, set it for 2 years. It's okay. You know what's crazy? I think I walked in 1920, 1919, end of 1920. I can't remember. We're going into 3 years now. But even when I hit RVP, which was ridiculous because they didn't have SVP when I started, nobody ever asked me when I hit RVP. And nobody ever asked me when I hit SVP. When you finish you could be 40, 50 years old and finish your doctorate and be there. And if you're the best doctor to be able to help in cardiology and you save somebody's life, nobody's going to ask you, so where'd you graduate from and when did you get your degree? They only know you're the best cardiologist to save somebody's life. I say that to be able to speak into the listening of people like Stephanie and Tammy and some of my other kids that are so hard on themselves. You guys got to stop being hard on yourselves and understand how to reset to be able to understand living in a rearview mirror, you're always going to crash. There's a reason why the rearview mirror is so small and the front window is so big. Somebody gonna catch that in the car today, okay? The future is so bright, so beautiful. So you have to set Okay, when am I going to finish? Wherever you are, when am I going to finish this class? When am I going to finish this course? When am I going to graduate from here? When am I going to graduate from here? Then you put a plan together, because you don't start working on your junior year when you're still in your sophomore. You put all your energy into your sophomore year. And you'll be amazed when you start to do that. You'll start to then complete your task and your degrees faster. So if I'm just focused in and I just got started on this call and I just got started, I need to finish ETL, you'll finish in like, I'm telling you, it only takes really, ETL is a maximum of a 30-day window. If you really want to graduate ahead of the class, which is very easy to do with a little work, it's easy to do in 7 to 10 days, that's ETL. It doesn't matter if you've been in for a year or 2 years, it's really 7 to 10 days worth of work. Same thing when you finish RD. RD is really about a maximum of 120 days worth of hard ass work, but you can finish in 60. It doesn't matter if you've been in ETL for the past 2 or 3 years or the past 2 or 3 months, it's 120 days of total focus. It's total focus. That's all it is. And you'll start to figure out whether you have to do it yourself or whether you get some help. RD, you can finish by yourself. If you had to do it. If you had to do it. Then you'll get to RVP and you'll be like, okay, I'm ready to go to the next level. And there you will figure out that you can't get there by yourself. But listen, Linda, listen. You must be prepared to do it by yourself in order to complete it. It is not smart to get to RVP or SVP by yourself, but you must be mentally prepared to complete it by yourself if need be, and that needs to be your mentality. Is that making sense? You guys with me on that so far? And when you're moving through these different genres, then you need to have a very tight circle. And this just isn't in our business, this is in life. You need to have confidants. You need to have people that you can call. I can call Mr. Al Thomas every day, or I can call him and not talk to him for 6 months and pick up the phone and it'll be 2 in the morning and he'll pick it up. That's a confidant. A confidant is a 7-Eleven friend. And you don't have a whole lot of those, but I'm going to ask you, how many 7-Eleven friends do you have? Now, understand the distinction. Some of you are like, well, I got friends I could call at 7 and 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning. No, I'm talking about calling friends that have resources, not broke friends that you just hang out with and can call at 4 in the morning. Not the ones you pour in drama, but the ones that are like, I'm awake, what do you need? I just need to know, there's got to be a reason for you calling me 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay, I fell asleep. I woke up at 5, 6 o'clock. You're the first text. Just tell me what you need. I know this. I don't need the explanation. They come with solutions. That's the key. And many of you have access to people like that, but you don't utilize them because you have this Moses syndrome. You want to do everything by yourself. Yes, Tammy, I'm talking to you. You still want to do it by yourself. And you're going to have to shift that. You're going to need a real major shift. I mean, I would love to be in there. I want to go into Dave's. I went through this computer right here and go into Dave and just see what's on his, because I know most of it is what I referred. So I don't really have to go into Dave or Jabriz, but I'd like to come into some of you guys. I don't have to go into Lance's either. I chose him as well. I don't need to go in here because I know most, the ones that I chose, their bookshelves, which don't come close to mine, but the books on their shelves are the ones that I read because they took them all from me. I'm very clear. I'm very clear. But I'd love to be able to do this and just grab just a group of books. I got them color coded too. Just a group of books, any group of books, and be like, I like to know what's in your refrigerator. What are you reading? Oh, David and Goliath, Malcolm Gladwell. Oh, New World Order. I want to know about money. Oh, The Tipping Point. Oh, The Outliers. Oh, The Psychological Optimal Experience of Energy called Flow, one of the most ancient, extraordinary books of energy. Amazing. Oh, The compound effect. Oh, I just want to grab and just be like, what do you have on your shelf? Leadership Bible. Oh. Your body's cry for water. Oh. The 48 Laws of Power. Oh. Launching a leadership revolution. Oh. I can grab anywhere. I go down, I go up. 7-day speed reading. I don't have a lot of time. Oh. Actions leads to success. Oh. Praying God's word. Oh. The Little Red Hen. Yes, I have children's books that keep me young. The Battle Plan for Prayer. Oh. I pray on purpose. Oh. I love to know what's in your kitchen. I want to know what's in your refrigerator. Because see, this will completely defrag the entire computer of a mind. You don't ever have to worry about how I think, how I operate, how I move, how I pray, how I get up on my knees. You don't have to worry about if somebody's actually going to be, well, it's like, well, I mean, when I found out yesterday that one of my closest friends has pancreatic cancer. I mean, one of my closest friends. He's one of my greatest investors. I could call him and ask him for 10 grand and ask him for 100,000. And he will just wire it with no questions asked. He's that close to me. And no sign at all. Then on top of that, the day before that, my phone has been frozen. I have not had access to my phone in 48 hours, right? So 48, anybody knows how we operate in life. We can't live without our phone anymore. So it just happened that I got it up. I wasn't gonna go another day without it. So a lot of people are like, well, he hasn't reached out and I haven't been accessible. So it's been a very rough 48 hours. And I don't need a pity party. I'm all about solutions. And I believe in prayer. But my point in saying all that is, all that ran me through the night with very little sleep and then getting up this morning. And you know why I didn't have to prepare for this call? Because of what's in my refrigerator. And you heard me say with Mr. Al Thomas, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. How many of you, if I open up this call right now and say, you got to do the training for the next 30 minutes, you immediately can get into somebody's head and somebody's heart because it's so downloaded. You got programs, you got stuff going, not that you got, that you can actually stimulate your entire audience. You can actually grab the hearts of every man, woman, and child listening to you, that you can actually squeeze the left side of their cerebrum, you can actually get into the perineal on the back end of their head, that you can actually step into the hormonal side of every woman having a period and it just went flatline. How many of you can actually get to the point that you have mastered the wordsmithing of being able to download adjectives, nouns, and pronouns to the point that you can activate a soul that will wake up the body and they will take action and flight because you're so on point with the direction that you're going in. You have no question as you've flown this plane so many times that you have no problem taking it from one side of the Pacific Asia all the way to the other side of the world. You know, you don't even need a flight plan. You don't even need a flight plan. That you get an hour of sleep and just hop out and be like, this is what we doing. This is what we doing. This is how we're gonna do it. This is where we're gonna do it. This is when we're gonna do it. And be trusted with all of Al Thomas's cast or all of Jocelyn and all of her cast, or Renata or any other leader that's on here. And they trust to know, not that you're going to deliver information, but every soul that you talk to is going to take flight. Now, if they crash, it's going to be on them. Remember, our job is to create an environment conducive to success, not guarantee somebody's success. That you are on such autopilot, the programming within your heart of what you're doing on a daily basis, who you're being on a daily basis, that you don't have to figure out, it's like, oh, I'm doing the training. What am I going to talk about? I don't know. Because you haven't been in the gym long enough. You haven't been working out. You have been working on self. Hence, you got that. accomplishing the goal. Now finishing the goal. That you have a due date. You know when your rent is due. You know when your car note is due. You know when your mortgage is due. You know when everything else is due, except for your own success. That's the distinction of entrepreneurs. They know when their success is due. You're very clear about when their success is due. There needs to be a due date for your success. While working all that, then in turn, I need to make sure I have a massive dream. I mean, a massive vision that builds my dream. A massive vision. I had a guy, he was on my call this week, one of my calls this week. And we were on for quite some time. In fact, I was on one call and then I did another call and he hopped off of one call onto another call and combined. And that was an unexpected, that was an X Factor call that I invited people to roll into my second call. I was like, you know what, this is what I do. You guys are welcome to join. And it was just, the whole herd just kind of moved like, woo, like, whoosh. I was like, I didn't expect that. I was like, y'all just been on for like 2 hours with somebody else. I was the special guest on that call. And I had my set call, which I didn't get a chance to prep for that call because I'm on autopilot and because my refrigerator is full. Thank God I didn't have to figure out what to say in that call. Because, and you might want to write this down, I live, and you can say I, because I need you to, if you don't, to move into this zip code. I live in a state of unconscious competence. I live in a state of unconscious competence. I make sure that the people around me hang around long enough that Janika catches that she's now doing things unconscious. It's unnerving. The people around me, Tammy, the people around me, Lance, the people that actually, because success is contagious. Your good habits are contagious. People start doing things, they don't even know why they're doing them. They don't even know how to give me credit sometimes. And I'm not talking about my family, this in this confine. Are you guys with me on that so far? But they don't know because it's like, stuff just starts happening in their life. They start doing things, moving a little bit different, saying things differently, and don't even know where the resource is, but they're hanging around long enough that if you just get a whiff of the Bentley, you're gonna be in one soon. The language starts to change. The attitude starts to change. The swag starts to change. The actions start to change. The books start to change. Yes, it's frustrating. Yes, there's stretch marks. I had this conversation training a woman at a dinner. I was just all up in her soul. I said, look, baby, whatever you're going through right now, I mean, you're complaining about it. Do you have two beautiful children? Yes, yes. Do you have stretch marks? Yes. Those are not battle scars. Those are trophies. Those are trophies. The pain and the stretch marks you go through this business, become who you need to become, those are trophies. The tears that I have, those are trophies. The people that quit on me, those are trophies. The people that gave me the most hell, those are trophies. You got to celebrate your wins because you're still here. Then you got to figure out what your vision is, because your vision allows you to be able to back up all of that to the plan. Your vision has to be so crisp, so clear, so 2020, I say 2222. You have to be very clear on where you want to be, that it cannot deviate. The power is not in focus. The power is in getting rid of distractions. The power is not in focus. The power is in getting rid of distractions. The power is not in focus. The power is in getting rid of distractions. I want you to take inventory today. I would love to hear, what's today? Today is Friday. Yes, I can get on happy hour. I'm not going to talk. I don't want to train. I'm here. So I'm doing my talking now, but I would like to hear within the happy hour, and I am going to be on with Ms. Al Thomas. Anything he asks me, of course I'll do. But I want to hear between the close of this call in less than 9 minutes and the time you get on happy hour for those to join us, I want you to take inventory. Do it on your phone or get a little tablet. And I want you to just count all the distractions that happened today. I would love for you to take inventory of who called you, the child that came in the room, somebody asked you to do something. Just look at all the distractions that if you were doing heart surgery, take inventory of all the distractions. What would have taken you from, what was so important that you're the cardiologist doing heart surgery on, let's just say, my mother, your somebody that you love. You are the right now it is 10 o'clock, pushing 10 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So that gives us a full 8 hours. And it's an 8-hour surgery. Now you may think, oh, no, I had to feed my husband. No, I had to take care of my child. No, I had to make some sandwiches. No, I had to go pay this bill. I want you to write down all the things that you wouldn't do if you were in surgery on your mother. Because until you understand, till you comprehend, till you can inhale that mentality, you will never complete the success that you say that you want. And you know what's crazy? If you actually focus in, I'm gonna wrap up with this. If you actually focus in on the position of your choice with that type of focus, you would finish ETL in a day. You would finish RD in 5 days, and you would finish RVP in under 6 months. If you gave 8-hour days like that, I'm the type of person, why not just get it out of the way so I can get on with my life? Actually, success and things that are to be earned and money and titles, they're in my freaking way. So when I need something, I don't know. What's your vision for your life? What expectation do you? I wake up expecting miracles. I wake up expecting conversations with Mr. Al Thomas and with other business partners like this that are like stretching my brain, messing me up, that somebody can just drop for a meal somewhere. Now I make a significant amount of money, but I can't just drop for a meal somewhere. I have to have people on these frequencies because I expect to be there. I already expect to be there, but when I was making only $5 an hour, I never expected to have a conversation with somebody say, I mean, I'll drop 6 figures. I'll go buy some property, Mr. Al Thomas, and be like, how much you got? 100? I got a meal. I'll match you here, but just drop 4 to see if it works. What? And then come up. Your risk to reward, your ratio, your mentality, how big is your thinking? What are your friends in your circle and your business partners? This is a business. How much are you investing in your ACN institution? My business cards cost me $2,000 when I was in ETL. When I was in ETL, that's right, I'm with you, Mr. Thomas. When I was in ETL, my business cards, I was investing in my business. The trainings, the time, the people who can stretch and pull your brain so it never goes back to the original state. Most people are living they happy if they in $1 million or $2 million house. Like I got me a $3 million house. And that you proud of that? Do you understand it? Let me say this, in San Francisco, which is right now, I didn't even know this until probably a couple of months ago, only because of my wares of real estate, because I was used to New York. New York was number 3 of the most expensive places to live for the longest time, all the way over to the other side of the world. Do you know San Francisco is the most expensive place to live right now? Do you know if you're living in a $1.7 million home, you're in the hood? That there's literally bums outside of my friend's house. He's in a $1.7 million home. And that they have to bait the firemen, the teachers, And they call those the blue collar. They got baked in with benefits just to live there because they can't afford to be there. I need you to be very present to where we are and where the world and the economic landscape is going. This is a have. I said it, me and Ms. Thomas have been saying this for the past 5 years. We were saying it's going into. There is now no middle class. It is a have and have not society. We used to talk about middle class like, oh, that's a middle class. That was just 3-4 years ago. You haven't heard middle class in over a half a decade. It doesn't exist anymore. It's going to be in the history books in less than 2 to 3 years. There's no middle class. You are no middle class. You are either a have or a have not person moving into 2024, 5, and 6. So you better make some really hard decisions about your life. Well, that's my time for the day.